Marcus Williams, the promising young man who threw away his sanity for a taste of fast money. Allow me to tell the Almighty the real story of how this innocent, mentally ill boy destroyed his own mind through greed and spiritual rebellion.
I remember your voice. You were one of the voices in my head. You tormented me for 3 years.
I didn't torment you, boy. You invited me in when you knocked on doors that should never be opened. Let me tell God exactly how you ended up insane. It all began 3 years ago when Marcus was a sophomore at Chicago State University, struggling to pay tuition after his father died in that horrible car crash on the Dan Ryan Expressway. After the funeral, Marcus was left with crushing medical bills, student loans, and a mother who couldn't work because of her diabetes. So he started a small business selling phone accessories and laptop repairs out of his dorm room. Meanwhile, his friends were living like kings. Deshaun had a brand new BMW at 19. Jamal was throwing parties every weekend with bottles that cost more than Marcus made in a month. They wore designer clothes, dated the prettiest girls, and flashed thick rolls of cash. The envy ate at Marcus like cancer. Every night he went to bed hungry, while his friends posted pictures of expensive restaurants on Instagram. He started questioning why God would bless everyone else but leave him struggling.
I was trying to do things the right way. I was working hard, going to church, praying for breakthrough.
But hard work wasn't fast enough for you, was it, Marcus? You wanted instant results. You wanted to live like your friends right now. Your small business fed you well, clothed and paid most of your school bill, but you were busy comparing yourself with your mates. After 18 months of watching friends get richer, Marcus finally cracked. He approached Deshaun begging to know the secret to fast money. Deshaun finally gave in and introduced Marcus to the crew. But it wasn't just internet fraud they were involved in. They were part of something much darker, a cult that promised wealth in exchange for unspeakable acts. They promised to give him the life he wanted, fame and women of all types, but instructed him to sacrifice his own mother in 24 hours' time.
I said no. I walked out. I never touched that cream.
But you had already entered the circle, Marcus. You had already heard the incantations. Leviticus 19:31 warns, "Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards, to be defiled by them." But you were already defiled just by being there. The cult leader explained the binding law. Once you enter the circle and hear the words of power, you cannot leave without completing the task. You have exactly 24 hours, or the curse falls on you instead of your intended victim. Marcus caught the first Greyhound bus back to his hometown, but everything went wrong. Traffic jams delayed the bus for hours. He had to get off and find alternative transportation by booking a nearby bike. Then the storm hit. Rain so heavy they couldn't see 5 feet ahead. The motorcycle broke down on a deserted road with no cell phone service. But at exactly midnight, when the 24 hours expired, the curse fell. Marcus's mind snapped like a broken guitar string. He began seeing demons, hearing voices, believing his own mother was trying to poison him. For 3 years, Marcus lived in torment. His brilliant mind was reduced to chaos. He spent his days talking to invisible people and running from imaginary threats. And it all started because of his greed and impatience.
Marcus Williams, you stand before me not as a victim of mental illness, but as someone who willingly opened doors to spiritual darkness through your own choices.
Lord, I was trying to help my mother. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just wanted to better my life and live the kind of life my mates were living.
James 1:14 warns that every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Your lust for wealth conceived, brought forth sin, and ultimately brought forth your death.
But Lord, I said no. I refused to hurt my mother. I walked away from their offer. They used me.
You walked away from the final act, Marcus, but you had already participated in the ritual by your presence. 1 Corinthians 10:21 declares, "They cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. They cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils." Deuteronomy 18:10 explicitly forbids involvement with occult practices. "There shall not be found among you any one that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord."
Lord, I was just a young boy, filled with ignorance. I was desperate. I made a mistake in a moment of weakness.
Mental illness was not a disease. Marcus, it was the consequence of spiritual rebellion. You chose to seek solutions from darkness instead of trusting in my timing. Galatians 6-7 warns, "Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap."
Please, Lord, I suffered for 3 years. Isn't that enough punishment? I learned my lesson. Please.
Your earthly suffering was just the beginning of eternal consequences. Depart from me, you who worked iniquity by consorting with demons and participating in occult rituals. How many of you are facing financial pressure right now that's making you consider ungodly shortcuts? College students drowning in debt, attracted to internet fraud because it seems easier than working minimum wage jobs. Young adults envying friends who make money by seeking help from the devil. You see your friends driving luxury cars and living in expensive apartments while you struggle to pay rent. And you start questioning why I haven't blessed you the same way. You begin to believe that maybe good people finish last, that maybe you need to compromise your values to succeed. But Proverbs 13:11 teaches that wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. The money obtained through fraud, scams, and occult practices always comes with a curse attached. And you who are being recruited into cults, disguised as business opportunities, recognize the trap. They promise you wealth, success, and power, but they demand your soul in return. 1 Timothy 6:10 warns that the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith. To every young person struggling financially right now, I see your situation. I know about your student loans, your family's needs, your desire to succeed. But Philippians 4:19 promises that my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Wait on my timing. Trust in my provision. Reject every shortcut. That requires you to compromise your integrity or participate in darkness. The wealth I give comes with no sorrow attached, but the wealth from Satan always comes with destruction. Don't let peer pressure, envy, or impatience drive you into the arms of demons like it did Marcus Williams. His mental illness wasn't random. It was the direct result of spiritual choices. Choose righteousness. Choose patience. Choose to trust in me, and I will bless you in ways that won't destroy your mind, your family, or your soul. If you are not ashamed of me in public, comment "Jesus save me from peer pressure." Like and share this message so that my warning will reach more souls. Subscribe to this channel to continue hearing my true word. May my unending grace continue to see you through all the days of your life.